oftentimes the degree of separation between a professional athlete and a collegiate athlete is the moments. Some people wait for big moments. Some people need big moments. Some people thrive in big moments. Some people don't.
You are Locked On Oklahoma State, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma State Cowboys, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Howdy, y'all, and hello, all. Welcome back to Locked On Oklahoma State, your daily stop for all things Cowboy and Cowgirl related. My name is Cody Stovall. I want to thank you kindly for stopping by to make this your first listen here on Locked On Oklahoma State. We are available on all of your podcasting platforms as well as visually on YouTube. You can find me on Twitter at AllDayOState. I implore you to do so. Jump on there, have some fun. All right, so we're going to jump right off into this one today. When you think of a professional athlete, right, it's sometimes hard to make the determination on what is the difference, because most people that make it to the Division I athletic realm of life, pretty daggone successful. You're usually one of the stars of the high school. Typically, you're one of the stars of the college. So if it's not athletic, and we do know that the academia side used to play a major factor in it. It still does play a part. It's just not as big. But when you take out the athletic side, most everybody that's a D1 athlete has that. When you take out the academia side, because let's face it, this is turning more and more into a business. When you take out those things, what does it come down to? I think you can look no further than some of the Cowboys that are in the NFL right now. How many massive moments did James Washington show up for? How many massive times did we need Jaylen Warren to get those yards? How many times did we need Justice Hill to break a 60-yarder to put the game on us? How many times did we need to see Chuba Hubbard break into open field and have an over 2,000-yard rushing season? How many times did we see that? A lot. We were fortunate enough to witness that a large portion of the time. And then you have some guys like a Chris Lacey, who is always, number 4, number 5 type of wide receiver that's still carving out a little bit of a role in the NFL. So what about the moments matter? I think obviously preparation is a factor. Your ability to cover ground, make a tackle, know your job, it matters. But the moments, and I bring this up because we're here obviously at the World Series. We started hot, right? We're undefeated. We're cruising. Faced one of the top teams in Florida today and just didn't have it. And that's what made me realize the moment was too big for some guys. With all the college scouts sitting there watching, with all the radar guns going, everybody taking the notes, it became too much for some kids. And that never changes. That never changes. Yeah, you can adapt, you can learn, you can grow, but sometimes that's just in you, right? You've heard the saying before, it's not always the fight in the dog, but the dog in the fight. Or the dog in the, you get it. You're tracking. All right. It's not the size of the dog in the fight, but the size of the fight in the dog. There we go. Got it now. It's perplexing. And you never really know. Who are the people that step up in big moments when needed? You could even think back to Tyron Johnson. He didn't get a lot of playing time at Oklahoma State. But when he did get his opportunities, he was pretty good about maximizing those, right? He didn't get a crap ton of film out there, but the film that he did put out there is quality. The film that he was able to put together for NFL scouts and executive was good enough to not only get him in the door, but to continue his maturation process now in the NFL. So before we jump to some of the Cowboys, 24, according to some, but before we jump into those Cowboys, let's talk about some of the ones that we know right now on this roster that are likely going to have the opportunity to play in the NFL. So it would be easy to just go with, right, the normal names that you hear, which is going to be Kendal Daniels and Colin Oliver. Well, that's because those are guys that we expect to be on the draft board. I think as long as Ollie Gordon has the progression that we think he will, he should be on a draft board somewhere. I think Xavier Benson has shown flashes of some capabilities to end up playing on some Sundays. Jaden Bray. Jaden Bray is that guy. We talked about James Washington, right? I mean, y'all remember Des Bryant doing some crazy stuff. Zach Robinson was a very good quarterback, but Des Bryant bailed that dude out a decent amount of the time, and you have to have that. Because R.W. McQuarters played both ways because we needed people to help. We needed people that were going to be able to jump in the game and solidify some things. We got glimpses of what Jaden Bray could do. Well, I think maybe this year's the year we get to see the entire package. Kendal Daniels, of course. All he's got to do is come out and produce. Now, I'm very well aware that Cameron Epps is too young to be on this list, but he's definitely somebody that we should all be paying attention to. Trey Rucker hasn't got enough of a shakeout in Stillwater yet. Trey Rucker hits like a Mack truck. He plays with reckless abandon, and sometimes you do need that, right? Could you look at the quarterback room and see some future guys? Yeah, I think you possibly could. Right, Leon Johnson's coming in at 6'5", 207 pounds from a little old George Fox. Could he be somebody that puts himself again in that Marcel Aitman type of role? Marcel Aitman is still, as we'll get to in a little bit, he's still in the NFL, y'all. Right, and there's probably not very many people that saw him making multiple NFL rosters just because he was a piece that we didn't use all that often. Could Elijah Collins come in and have a Jalen Warren style of season? I think that he could. I think that he should. He's shown some of those capabilities. I think the only differentiation there would be he's got to share the rock, right? He's not a running back that we're going to lean on constantly over and over and over and over again, like maybe you would see out of an Ollie Gordon. I think Elijah Collins is good enough. I think Elijah Collins is going to have some opportunities to at least make a splash in professional football. This season is going to be massive for him. Could he have a Jalen Warren style season? The answer is yes. And thus far, it looks like a decent bet. All right, maybe not a safe bet. All right, so again, we could talk about Kendal Daniels all day. We could talk about Colin Oliver all day. Those are guys that we know are probably going to be drafted, right? I think Justin Wright is an interesting case study. He's not getting talked about enough. And the numbers he put up at Tulsa are ridiculous, video game style numbers. What he's going to be asked to do in Stillwater is a little bit different. But, again, it's capitalization of big-time moments. When it's 4th and 1, the game's on the line, can you do it? That's partially why somebody like Devin Harper is still in the NFL. That's partially why somebody like Devin Harper made it to the NFL after being a backup in Stillwater for 5 years. You can't shut down that motor. Whenever you look at the D-line, guys, all of us, myself included, like I'm equally as guilty here, but a lot of us are not talking about Justin Goodlow, who was elevated to a 4-star transfer. He was elevated to a 4-star status before he decided to make his decision. And just because our defensive line is going to be used a little bit differently, he's kind of getting pushed back, not being talked about enough. Right? And we'll make some comparisons. Justin Kirkland, right? We've heard it before. Write that name down. He should be somebody. Dalton Cooper could get his name called. Jason Queso Brooks, if he continues at the rate he's at, he'll probably get an opportunity. Brennan Presley is good enough. DeJon Stribling is good enough. Colin Clay is good enough. This is going to be a fun year. So now that we've talked about some of the Cowboys that could have opportunities, let's jump into some of the Cowboys that are currently on NFL rosters. Have a little dialogue about them there. But before we do, is your car in need of some stuff? Because if it is, eBay Motors is your way to go. Whenever you need the right parts, the right fit, the right price, all together, you got to go with eBay Motors. To have a championship team, you got to have championship level players. And in order to do that, they've got to be the right fit for the team. They've got to be the right fit for the squad, got to be the right fit for your car. It's the same thing, right? If the fit's just right, it'll probably do you some good. So next time you're in need of parts or accessories, head to eBay Motors. With the eBay Guaranteed Fit, you can be sure that every single part you need fits right the first time around. Just add your rig to the garage. Look for the green check to know if the part's going to fit or not. Or, you guessed it, your money back. Because just like in all sports, confidence, right? That's the name of the game today. It's the name of the game when you shop at eBay Motors as well. With over 122 million parts to choose from, you'll be back in the game in no time. After all, it's easy to bring home the W when you know the parts are already guaranteed. Get the right parts today, get the right fit today, and do it with the right prices at ebaymotors.com. Go there now. Let's ride, ladies and gentlemen. eBay Guaranteed Fit. It's available for U.S. customers. Eligible items only, and exclusions do apply. All right, so let's jump into the fun part of this, right? Let's jump into the Cowboys that we know are currently rocking NFL training camps at the moment. We'll just go kind of alphabetically here. Baltimore Ravens, we know about Justice Hill. 5 years now with the Ravens. And last year, he had his big moment, right? He became the guy, became the starter, and I think it was like the third carry of the game. Boom, catastrophic injury, out for the year. They re-signed him because they like what they have in him. He reminds me a lot of a Kendall Hunter. And the 49ers loved them some Kendall Hunter. Durability was, I guess, a little bit of an issue. Him being a packaging type of guy was a little bit of an issue as well. His teammate there, Tylan Wallace has seen his role expand. As a rookie, he played a lot of special teams. And he's only got a handful of targets, but the targets he is getting has afforded him more opportunities to be on the field, right? It's giving him more time to show what he can do. We just talked about somebody like a Leon Johnson III potentially being a Marcel Aitman. If you're a Buffalo Bills fan out there, the 6'4", 215-pound wide receiver is back, carved out a nice little role at the Raiders. You remember coming in out of his rookie camp. He was probably the most talked about Raider on the squad from then head coach John Gruden. And then he got to play in some games, made some catches, caught some touchdowns, caught some big sideline catches. And he's hanging out on the fringes, but nonetheless, the dude is still in the league 4 years later. AJ Green, what a return man. What a specialist he was in a Cowboy uniform. And now he's a Cleveland Brown. AJ Green had so many athletic capabilities. And, he kind of, I think, right off the bat, kind of like a Justin Gilbert, didn't overwhelm, I guess you could say. But he's 3 years in the league now. Well, that's hard to do in and of itself. Last year, 4th-round draft pick, Tyler Lacey, Jacksonville Jaguars, 6'4", 290 pounds. The reason I think he's pertinent to this conversation is the same thing that you're going to talk about with a Colin Oliver. So if you look at what Colin Oliver is able to do and Tyler Lacey, and the fact that Tyler Lacey went in the 4th round, he went in the 4th round, I think, primarily due to his versatility. The fact that he can play almost anywhere, that's a big deal. Anywhere on the defensive line, he can do it. I think he's going to have a very nice career because of that versatility. You want to talk about somebody else that's just found a way to stick in the NFL, Chris Lacey with the Raiders. You know, he made a little name for himself with the Lions, did a little bit of bouncing around, but he was the guy that we brought up a little bit earlier because he was like the number 5 wide receiver then. So he didn't get a lot of PT. He didn't get a lot of looks. He didn't get a lot of opportunities. He darn sure didn't get a whole lot of love. He didn't get very many chances to capitalize and seize those big moments. But since he's got a chance to be in the NFL, he's been able to stick for 4 years now. And again, guys, if this is rotational, if this is special teams, if this is practice squad, it really, I mean, come on. You're talking about one of the smallest percentage of human beings to exist in this world. A guy that we talk about with the Chargers down there quite often on this program is Amen Ogbongbemiga, right? He kind of was one of those people that I thought of when Mason decided he was transferring from Oklahoma State to USC, Mason Cobb, the linebacker. And one of the things he brought up was not getting pushed enough, and there's an easier path to the NFL over there. Like, are you I almost said a naughty word. It's ridiculous. And somebody like Amen Ogbongbemiga is proving that right now. And then, you know, we got to talk about the ridiculousness that's happened to Mason Rudolph, another great Cowboy that's done some good things. He's unfortunately remembered in a Steelers uniform for getting hit in the head with his own helmet, right? That's what he is most commonly referred to. I wish Pittsburgh would just let the dude go. Free Mason Rudolph. Will he ever be a stellar starter in the NFL? Probably not. Is he worse than 32 other dudes? Absolutely not, right? This is the dichotomy of the situation here. Is he's not a third string dude. He might be a career backup. He might be a Matt Flynn. He might be a Seneca Wallace, right? He might very well be that. He might be a Chase Daniel. But he's not going to get enough opportunity stuck in Pittsburgh with a stupid organization. Sucks for Jaylen Warren. Like, I can barely stomach watching the stupid A Steelers anymore with the crap fest that they've pulled, right? It is what it is. They let Big Ben flex his old man muscles, and I think it hurt. I really do. Let's keep it going. Matt Hembro, long snapper with the Cardinals. He's going to make that roster. He's going to have a very long career in the NFL. You could darn near write that one down. Atlanta Falcons, Trey Flowers. Trey Flowers, 6 years in the league, y'all. 6 years, right? Pete Carroll saw something special in him. They drafted him. They turned him into a corner in Seattle after being a safety at Oklahoma State. And he's still carving out a role. I think that he'll do very well with the Falcons. I actually think that he has a pretty good shot at starting. Let's talk about a couple dudes. Not a big time Dallas Cowboys fans by any stretch of the imagination, but I will be watching some Cowboy games this year. I love watching Tyron Johnson play the game of football. I love seeing him straight down the field and get open. His route running has improved. Devin Harper is just a dude. He's one of those guys that shows up in massive moments. When you need something done, Devin Harper is a guy to call, especially on the football field. Carolina Panthers, Chuba Hubbard. Is this his time? Is he still splitting with Foreman? Yes. Is he going to be able to seize that role and take RB1 completely away? This is the year to do so. This is his year to make some moves with the Carolina Panthers. Now, Tevin Jenkins, obviously, with the Chicago Bears, was drafted super high as a left tackle. His film at right tackle was really, really, really good. I thought that he would easily be able to be a right tackle in the NFL, starting right tackle for some years to come. Well, they've kind of played musical chairs with Tevin Jenkins. Now they've slid him inside. Now he's a guard, and they moved him to the other guard spot because he did so good, and they brought in a veteran that he is now going to be a starting guard for the Chicago Bears. And they see him in this role for quite some time. So 3 years in the league, all with the Chicago Bears, bounced around a little bit, but it looks like he's found his home. Looks like he's found his spot. Obviously, Malcolm Rodriguez, Detroit Lions, Rodrigo. I mean, took the rookie circuit by storm last year. He's the embodiment of what Dan Campbell is looking for, and I'm not one of those people that is all that concerned with the fact that they brought in another linebacker for one of their top picks. I think it's good. I think it's good to have Alex Anzalone pushed a little bit as well. Even if some of the pushing needs to go to Malcolm Rodriguez's direction, he's going to be able to rise to the occasion. He's going to be fine. Kicker Tanner Brown with the Los Angeles Rams is going to have an opportunity, right? He's good enough. He's consistent enough. He's talented enough to do something. Jason Taylor, second. Safety that really had a knack for showing up in big moments, right? Especially against Texas. He loves playing Texas. But the big moments were Jason Taylor's cup of taters. You'd go through the entire course of the game just thinking it's a regular outcome, regular game. He's having a regular time out there. And then he'll do something crazy. This is what we're talking about. James Washington, now with the Saints. Is this his time to shine? You got to be pretty doggone good to spend this long in the NFL, especially a considerable amount of the time as a starter in the NFL. I think people see, right? Executives, coaches, coordinators, they can see what James Washington offers. Is this the year that he finally gets it done? Go to the Giants for Darius Williams, a cornerback that kind of snuck up on everybody. And started as a rookie and had a very, very good season as a rookie. And they were looking at him to be a catalyst back there. This, obviously last season didn't exactly work out. Another one due to injury. This is his bounce back year. Year 3 in the NFL as a corner. They want you to be a guy. You can be a guy. So just get back to what you showed him your rookie year and you got it. We could talk about Josh Shields with the Eagles, but until he gets his legal stuff, squared away, it is what it is, and he's exempt from a roster. Although they're hoping he gets his legal stuff squared away, obviously, because they have a spot for him if he gets all that squared away. All right, go down to the Niners. Our guy, Tay Martin. We'll see. I'll be honest with you. Yeah, if Tay Martin carves out an NFL role, I'll be a little surprised. I think he's good. I do think he's good. The drops, right? He gets cases of the dropsies here and there that has me a little concerned. And then back to the defensive side of the ball, Christian Holmes, Washington Commanders, the Washington whatever skins. They like him. They like him a lot. And you remember watching him come from Mizzou to O State, and then, he looks like a Greek statue. And his aggressive tendencies have gotten better, right? In his NFL time, his progression in tenacity has gotten better year after year after year. And I think that's something that'll serve him well in the NFL. And then lastly, as you can see there, we got to talk about our guy, Tyreek. I want to hear from you guys down in the comment section. Give me a couple sleepers on who you think will have the opportunity on this roster right now to potentially carve out a role and go to the NFL. You tell me. But I also want to know, what is the common consensus on Tyreek Hill being a Cowboy? Because I find it odd that we don't claim him anywhere. Like, if you go look at, the Cowboys in the NFL, he's not on a list. I've heard interviews where he talks very affectionately of his time at Oklahoma State, and he does refer to his college time at Oklahoma State. And then he had the interview with Shannon Sharp. Some people read it some ways. I read it certain ways as well, right? So it's kind of hard to make out of it. But the dude was there on an epic run. And if anybody should make sure he's included in the Cowboy lore, it should be Mike Gundy. Because if Tyreek Hill doesn't have that punt return in 2014, are we still talking about Mike Gundy being the head coach of Oklahoma State? Boone was there. Holder was there. They weren't happy. That I can say. Conversations were being had. That I can say. So Tyreek Hill should be an Oklahoma State Cowboy. I would like to know why he's not. The dude made a mistake. He got booted off the roster. That's the right thing. That's what should have happened. He paid for it. And we're going to sit here and pretend that we're just too altruistic. We're too good to not have somebody like that represent Oklahoma State. I don't get it. It's not like we have an overabundance. As you can tell, this one chaps my hide a little bit. He should have been kicked off the team. He was. Why are we still chastising him? Why are we still pretending? Why are we still pretending that he didn't come to Oklahoma State? Why are we still pretending that he's not a Cowboy in the NFL? Unless the answer is, Cody, you're crazy. Tyreek Hill hates Oklahoma State. He doesn't claim to be a Cowboy, and he doesn't want to be associated with the Cowboys. If that's the answer, let me know. Then I'm missing stuff. But until then, why are we pretending that he's a, Western Alabama Jaguar, whatever? I don't know. Anywho. So we're going to have for this one, appreciate you stopping in. You know I love you. As always, God bless. Go Pokes. And thank you for tuning in. So Locked On Oklahoma State to make this year for first listen. All right, y'all. Later, taters.